The new Black Wall Street. Do it right, build wealth, build life, economic empowerment, real tips, insight on the new Black Wall Street. It's on the new Black Wall Street. Who's your host?
All right, my beautiful people, man. Good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the new Black Wall Street, featuring bringing you the Money and Power Show. Give me just a second. I get my Instagram going because we got to make sure that we do a good job of making sure that we inform our people. Today is one of, I would say, one of the most important shows that I've done in a long time, because we actually have a scientist here with us here today to be able to share some insight that we kind of need. Okay, so give me just a second, guys. I want to make sure that we are able to reach as many people as possible. That we leave no child behind, right? And oh Lord, there go Instagram again, just cutting off on me. Leaving no child behind. Checking my connection. I'll come back to you, Instagram. At any rate, no child behind, man. This is the Money and Power Show, and I want to welcome you to Wall Street. I'm your host, ERGJ, your certified financial educator and CEO of ERGJ Enterprises, ERGJ Black Bazaar, and international best-selling author of the book, The Black Billionaires Club. That book there, guys, is a study of Black wealth. It's a study of the 12 richest Black people in the world today and how they built their wealth. And I just truly believe that if you want to be wealthy, you should study wealthy people. Well, you can find that book by simply going to the website, www.theblackbillionairesclub.com, www.theblackbillionairesclub.com. You'll find that in the description above or below. Pick up your copy today. While you guys are connecting, man, let us know where you're connecting from, what city, what state, what city, what state on this wonderful Wednesday, I believe, that we're broadcasting live here. Let us know just where you're connecting from so we know how far our reach is here today. Hit the like button and share button if you care. Like button and share button if you care, because knowledge is very powerful if you use it. Okay, knowledge is very powerful if you use it. And if you don't use it, I don't know if you're going to lose it, but it doesn't really turn into very much equity for you, okay? So we got a lot of information we'll be sharing here today. Money and Power. We're looking over the coronavirus, the update for you. Looking at Wall Street. We're going to be really talking about the agricultural industry today. As you guys may decide to become farmers again. I don't know. You may decide to become farmers again, man. Hey, today's show is being brought to you by the ERGJ Black Bazaar, the Afrocentric Marketplace, which specializes in Afrocentric home decor, personal care products, and also Black art-inspired gifts. Go ahead and check out the website, www.theblackbazaar.com, www.theblackbazaar.com, so you can shop to your heart's content. Shop Black, buy Black, all that good stuff, guys. I want you to remember this, man, that once you actually decide to buy Black, especially at our store, you'll never go back. That's right. Once you decide to buy Black, you'll never go back. Also, big shout out to Big Sis Media. That's right. Big Sis Media is a full service creative design agency. We're here to help watch over your most critical, creative, and visual needs. We are in a digital age, guys, so get the digital help that you need. They're there to watch over your most critical creative needs like a Big Sis would. You can check out the website, get the help that you need, get your website up, all that good stuff. Start your online thing while you're in isolation for the next 3 weeks at www.bigsismediagroup.com. www.bigsismediagroup.com. Let's find out who's here with us already tuned in. The early bird gets the worm. Miss Bethany Rucker is up in the house. Thanks so much for joining us here today. Miss Vivian Reed, good morning to you. Who else is joining us here this morning on the Money and Power Show? We're talking about food, agriculture, insects, and stuff like that, man. We're going to talk about what's really going on up in here. Let me see if I can get at least one thing going on Instagram, because I don't know what the deal is. Let's see if I went live. Okay, here we go. I'm almost got it up, guys. So once it's up, I can go on and do what I'm doing. But we do want to make sure, again, hit the like button, the share button. We do want to make sure that we are our brother's keeper, our sister's keeper. They may not be getting this information from anywhere else. So let's make sure they get it from us, guys. Let's make sure they get it from us, guys. Okay. So let's see what we're gonna do next. Let me go ahead and bring in my guest. Go ahead and introduce ourselves so we can get this show on the road. The Money and Power Show, bringing you the financial education station, bringing you what you need to know about economics, politics, all that good stuff, man. Good morning to you over Instagram. Good morning to you, YouTube. Good morning to you over at Facebook. I got a special guest with me, man. This sister here, I call her the queen of soil, okay? I call because ever since I know her, she been digging in dirt, and she been messing with bees, and she been doing all that stuff there. But she's very knowledgeable about what she talks about. Let me bring up to the screen, man, Miss Nadia Ruffin. MS stands for something, so I'm gonna let you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you're doing, why you do what you do. I think you're on mute. You're unmuted yourself. Good morning to you, Queen of Soil is here. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing right. Now, you remember I gave you that name, right? You know what I'm saying? They
yes.
say give yourself your nickname. Somebody else got to give it to you. So I gave you that nickname. If you could tell the people who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do.
My name is Nadia Ruffin. I'm actually located in Cincinnati, Ohio. I am a entomologist, which is a person that studies insects. I'm also a researcher scientist, and I am an urban farmer. So I farm here in the city of Cincinnati on an empty lot that I purchased about 5 years ago. And from that empty lot, I've created a business as well as a nonprofit. And I do research and things from that urban farm. Prior to that, I used to be a disease investigator. So that's why I'm going to come on here and talk about, coronavirus and things like that. And before that, I was actually in research and veterinary research and disease research. So I'm really interested in, diseases as well as, science and agriculture.
Absolutely, man. Now, before we get into all that, Ms. Nadia, you let's not casually walk over what you said. You said you in Cincinnati, as an entomology, and you purchased a lot in Cincinnati. I want to hear that part again. You got a lot, and then from that you got a school, and let's go through that again, because I don't think people heard that part when your introduction, because that's very, very valuable that you acquire some land in order to kind of build your dream. As I told you, man, once we get this money up, we coming down to Cincinnati, get greenhouse and all that stuff. We got to get this thing going. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So what I did, it was an empty lot in the neighborhood that I live in, and I purchased it and I converted it into a urban farm where I actually grow produce, and I sell it to the community. Also, I teach people about hydroponics and stuff from that lot. I have bees there. I have chickens there. So I teach about how to keep chickens, how to keep bees. So, I mean, it was just an empty lot that was kind of overgrown, and I just, bought it, had some of the trees and stuff cut down, and I just converted it into a useful space that can actually generate revenue.
Absolutely.
And then from there, I created a nonprofit because I was, really wanting to teach youth, especially Black youth, about the agriculture industry. Agriculture is not just farming, even though people think that's what it is. And so what I would do is I would go to schools and, different organizations and stuff, and I would take things there so that the children could learn about different industries that fall under agriculture. So if it was entomology, I would take insects. If it was animal sciences, I would take animals. If it was food science, I would take food and educate them on, how things get to the store or how things are prepared, because all of that is science behind that. So whatever industry I was focusing on, I would take that to the school and let the children, learn about that industry as well as have hands-on activities. And everybody had to wear a lab coat because everybody was a scientist at that point in time when whatever we were discussing.
Wow, absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to pull up your website here as well. Again, talk us a little bit about what you got going on here at kiwiproduce.farm/school. And then obviously, as you said, an urban farm, which, go ahead. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I have an online school where I actually will do live webinars as well. I have recorded classes where people can go on here and they can purchase the classes and they can learn about a variety of things. I teach hydroponics, aquaponics, which is growing plants without the use of soil. So, I mean, people think because they don't have land that they can't grow things. And in reality, you can grow things indoors. You can use just water. You have to have grow lights and things, but you can grow your own food as well as other plants and things in your home, just in water. And so I teach those classes. This Saturday, I have a class coming up teaching people how to grow their own seeded watermelons. Because that's an issue. People, I won't get into specifics of that, but I know people want to see seeds in their watermelon, and a lot of times when you go to the grocery store, they don't have them. So you can actually grow your own. Watermelons are very easy to grow. You can even grow in containers and things like that. So I'm going to teach a class on how you go about doing that yourself. Also, there's I have other classes. I have classes on there about coronavirus, influenza, as well as beekeeping, starting a container garden. And then I also do these YouTube lives every Sunday on my YouTube channel where I explain like different things throughout the week. Like the most recent one I talked about was biosecurity and how the hand sanitizers and the antibacterial soaps are not going to be effective against this COVID-19. So people are under the impression of there's this false security that you can just go to the store and buy a product and it's going to protect you. In reality, it's not. I also have a hemp class coming up, which we'll talk about that a little later when we talk about ways you can make money in the agriculture industry. But hemp is going to be a big one that's slowly developing here in this country because of its legalization and things like that. So I'm teaching about how to get started in the hemp industry. Yes.
Let me tell you something, honey. I can't, man. Oh Lord, I got to bring you into the fold, man. There's just so much. Oh Lord, I just see change in the Black community between two or more gathered together. Because I can just see it right now. My goodness, all that stuff going on. We just got to connect the dots, people. Everybody putting comments on connect the dots. We just got to connect the dots. George Fraser said that. That it's the only issue we have. We're all working in silos, right? Well, if we find a way to connect the dots, my goodness, we got everything we need. That's why you keep hearing me say that all the time. We got everything we need. Bethany Ruckers in the house. Thanks so much for joining, Miss Vivian Reed. Go and let us know where you're connected from, man. Listen, this is one of the most important shows I have done to date. Make sure you hit that like button, that share button, man. We got so much misinformation, disinformation, the miseducation of the Negro. Come on, man. Make sure y'all tag somebody, all that good stuff, man, because this is just stuff that should calm. See, when you are filled with knowledge, with real information, it calms the fear. When you really know what's going on, it ain't nothing to fear but fear itself. But when you are relying on disinformation, it puts you into a state of fear. So we gotta make sure we do a good job of spreading out information that's going to be useful for people to be able to understand. Corey Clark, good morning to you, the urban farmer, absolutely. Miss Vivian Reed, Grand Rising to you. Ryan Scott is in the house, man. Connect the dots, absolutely. Sincere Newman, thanks so much for joining us here today on the Money and Power Show. Good morning to Miss Phyllis. Let us know where you're connecting from, what city, what state. Good morning to you, Miss Jamila Clark over at Instagram. Grand Rising to you. Thanks so much. Now, Nadia, you said something about that hydroponics. So the first thing I thought was hydro. So that same process that we see, that many of us are familiar with when it comes to a special kind of plant that might make us feel a certain kind of way. Is that kind of the process, but they're using it for different greens, so to speak?
Oh, yeah. So basically, you can use hydroponics to grow any plant. It depends on how much space you have and the actual system that you use to grow that plant in. You can actually grow trees in hydroponics. The thing is, that's what people associate hydroponics with is, marijuana. But in reality, it was even used before marijuana. If you think back to, the ancient Aztecs as well as the Egyptians, they used to actually use hydroponics and aquaponics to actually produce some of their crops. In Mexico City, where the Aztecs was there, they used to have these floating rafts that they would actually grow their produce on. They would grow squash plants, tomatoes, as well as peppers on these floating rafts that they can move down the river. The roots from those plants would be in the water, and they were getting nutrients from the water, and they were able to move these around, which is kind of similar to what they have now, which are called floating raft systems or, deep water culture systems. In ancient Egyptian time, they would have these like ponds in their backyards that they would have water in, and they would actually grow papyrus and lotus blossoms that were like floating on top of the water, and they would put fish in there, and the fish waste would actually give nutrients to the plant. So, I mean, there's nothing new under the sun. people have been doing these things for, ever. It's just that now, it's caught on because of the marijuana industry, but in reality, you can grow any type of plant in hydroponics and aquaponics. You just have to know the nutrients that the plant needs, as well as the lighting and things like that. But you can grow a multitude of different plants. A lot of the food that we eat now is already grown hydroponically. When you go to the store, a lot of the tomatoes, a lot of the peppers, definitely most of the lettuce is grown in hydroponics. So we're already eating hydroponic food to begin with.
All right. So hydroponic just represents a process. And I just used to think it was just one type of bud.
No.
So, all right. So here's the deal, guys. If you've already shared, if you've already liked, if you already tagged someone, go ahead and put in the comments below, shared. I just want to know if you really are your brother's sister. I mean, your brother's keeper and your sister's keeper, because I am. And that's why we do this show, to make sure we bring quality people from our community that can speak to us about their specific industry, where we talk about the agriculture industry today, bees, insects, hydro, all that good stuff, man, hemp, all that good stuff. We'll try to cover as much as we can within the time that we have, as we connect the agriculture or the process or the farming and all that stuff, to actually the stock market or Wall Street, right? So welcome to Wall Street this morning, guys. I think it's coming upon us to do the first two things. First, we got to pay homage to our ancestors with our inventor of the day. So we got a scientist here, but we actually have our inventor of the day, and that's going to come out of a book called African American Inventions That Changed the World. African American Inventions That Changed the World. Dr. Henry T. Sampson. Dr. Henry T. Sampson. Let's see what he did. In 1971, Dr. Henry T. Sampson co-invented the gamma electric cell. This invention made it possible for cell phone technology to exist. Dr. Sampson also pioneered the study of internal ballistics of solid rocket motors using high-speed photography. Let me do that again. He invented or co-invented the gamma electric cell. This invention made it possible for cell phone technology to exist. Dr. Sampson also pioneered the study of internal ballistics of solid rocket motors using high-speed photography. Dr. Henry T. Sampson, black man, all right, helped to usher in cell phone technology. And here today on the Money and Power Show, Dr. Henry T. Sampson, we put some respect on your name. That's right, man. We put some respect on your name. Thanks so much, man. Phil George, you shared. Thanks so much. Miss Lovey House, good morning to you. Thanks so much. Now, what I also want to do, guys, because we got to start, we might as well start here. Might as well start here with what I found to be very helpful. Just looking and see what's been going on with this thing called, they done switched up the thing, the coronavirus. All right, so they done switched up their whole little platform. Anyway, so here is an update as of, what is this today? March 18th, as far as it's much accurate information I've been able to find out there. But this is world stats. All right, across the world, across all 195 countries that represent the globe, here's what we're looking at. Total infected, 204,000 people across the globe. I think when we put numbers into perspective, things kind of change. But anyway, only 8,000 deaths. Some people say that's a lot. I don't think that's a lot across the world when we see so many other things that have caused death. 8,200 people have actually recovered. So we have a 10% ratio here. 82 to 82 is roughly 10%. 82,000 have recovered. 8,200 have died. We still have another 120,000 that should still be active of some sort. There were 5,000 people across the world that were infected today. And then we had 266 deaths across the world that died today. And we have 1,100 people that actually recover. In other words, recovery means that there's no more, the virus is gone. There's no more need to be in a hospital. Recovery. They're talking about full recovery, not still dealing with it. Right. So here we see the graphs about, and they're just going to cumulative. They're not saying that, hey, here's how many happened today, but they're just counting up. So they're just graphing all this stuff for you guys to be able to see and to be able to break down active cases. Now, here down at the bottom, guys, and then this is corona.help. Corona.help. You can come find this yourself, and you can look for yourself, look at your country, look at your state, and just kind of, what I tell people is to analyze the data. Don't just take things as face value, but analyze yourself. So the biggest hit was China, right? China, and this was across their time frame, 81,000. But look at this. Out of 81,000 that were infected, they're only dealing with 8,100 today. So only 81 active. So China has found a way to manage this thing. I guess I'm not gonna say to corral this thing, but they are getting healthy. The interesting thing about the media is the media will show you the 8,100 people infected over a long period of time, but they won't show you that they're only dealing with 8,100 people today. Okay? Recovered. 69,000 people have recovered. Right? They're only still dealing with 8,100 cases. Now, that doesn't mean that more won't show up, but they're only dealing with 8,100. This we just gonna go with the data today, not what could be possible. Because what could be possible is everybody get healed tomorrow. So I think that we must look at things as what they are, be prepared for what could happen, both on the good side and the bad side, and we realize that, man, okay, and ask ourselves, what the hell did China do? What the hell did China do to get to so much recovery? Now, Italy, on the other hand, they're a little bit different, right? Different place for different space, different place. Italy got 31,000 people that were infected across that time frame, whatever time frame that is. They've had 2,500 people die from it. They've only had 2,900 people recover from it. And they're still dealing with 26,000 cases. Now, I don't know about you, but, if I was running the country, I'd be trying to figure out okay, China, we need to follow you. We don't need to follow Italy. All right? We need to be following China. China done figured out something. I think we need to China, what going on? What y'all do over there, man? What we need to do to become your friend so we can figure out how we can make sure we're not like Italy? That's what I'd be doing. I'm just saying, that's just common sense. Now, in case you guys don't know, Jack Ma, who is the former CEO of Alibaba, has pledged to send test kits to America. And he's pledged to send money to America. Because, China depends on America buying all their stuff. Okay? So we just break that down. Now, Iran is next. Spain is next. Look, USA is down here. USA, 6,500 infected total, right? And they call out the National Guard, right? Only 116 deaths thus far. And they calling out the National Guard. 106 recovered. And so we're still dealing with what they have confirmed, right? About 6,300 cases that have not died, have not recovered, still dealing with this virus that has infected them. You can drill this down even further, okay? To state, if you like to do that, and look at your state and ask yourself: is the response equal to relatively equal to the cause? And I'll just be asking questions. I mean, I don't know about you. I like to ask questions because I like to get answers. And it says, if you ask, you shall receive. But see, many people, they don't ask. They just take things for face value. But it ain't about me up in here. We got a scientist with us here today that's going to be able to share some insight that we might need to look at. Now, I don't know if I'm pretty sure you've looked at some numbers, or maybe you come across some things as well, Ms. Nadia. What do you have to share with us, for the people, hear about this thing that's going on with this coronavirus?
Well, when it comes to China and their recovery, we have to realize that they've been dealing with this most likely since, I would say, late October. I mean, we didn't find out about it until December, but there were speculations that they had been dealing with it a lot longer. So a way a disease works is, you're going to have, in the beginning, you're going to have an influx of cases, and then eventually it's going to plateau, and then it's going to start leveling off. I'm assuming that, China, of course, they're in that leveling off stage where, actually the cases are declining. So they're all going to follow that same type of, chart. Italy will eventually get to that point as well. Isolation, quarantining any sick individuals and anything with any disease, that's going to cut down on cases. And so that's what, China did in the beginning when they found out that this disease was spreading so rapidly. They isolated and they quarantined individuals, especially the sick individuals, from the well individuals. And, eventually the disease will not have any more hosts to actually, infect. And so what will have like you'll have that decline in cases to eventually where you'll have no more cases. So the same thing is going to probably follow suit in every area that it's in. There's going to be a rise of cases, and then once people start quarantining, there is no treatment for it. There is no vaccine. The vaccine itself would not treat you anyway. It would just be a preventative. But there is no vaccine currently available that we know of that they can actually give you to prevent the spread. But eventually, what's going to happen is it's going to, they're going to sharply rise, and then it's going to kind of plateau, and then it's going to drop down, and it's going to be zero again. What'll happen is probably though, because it was a pandemic, which means that this disease went around the world. It went to more than one continent. It becomes endemic, which means this disease becomes part of that general population. So you may have over, the next 20 years, you may have cases pop up. And you might have outbreaks, sporadic outbreaks and things, but it's going to be part of the general population at this point. United States, I'm not sure when this actually got here. I'm thinking it was around the same time it was in China. They're saying like there could possibly be hundreds of thousands of people that have the virus. The only thing is they don't have that many tests to even prove that. And if they were sick back in October, a lot of people have recovered. So you would never know unless you did an antibody test to see if they were exposed to that actual virus. We must remember also that the flu is actually circulating as well as some other upper respiratory diseases like whooping cough. It's going around as well. People have asthma, bronchitis. So there's other things going around. The common cold, which is also caused by a different type of coronavirus. I need to talk about that too, because people, they see on the cans of the Lysol where it says human coronavirus. That's for a particular virus that they already knew about. This particular one is a novel one. It's a brand new one. They've never seen it before. The outer proteins of the virus, they're totally different than what they were used to. So this is why I was able to infect so many people. Just like there's different dog breeds, just like there are different people, there are different viruses. And just like you and I don't look the same, viruses don't look the same. They mutate and things like that. So just because it says human coronavirus on that can or on that, that bleach container or whatever, that does not mean it's this COVID-19. This is a totally new virus that they just finding out about. The source has still not been established. So they're not even sure. It looks like it might have a bat origin, but they're not really sure if it came from bats, if it came from a lab. I mean, there's so many different things, circulating right now that there's no sure source of where this actually came from. But, at this point it's out here. And so you just have to know how to deal with, the whole public health aspect of isolation, the quarantining. Like I told you, there's no cure for it. The antibacterial soap, it's not going to work on it. It's not a bacteria, it's a virus. The hand sanitizer, I did a whole YouTube discussion about that. And you guys can go on my school site and you can actually click on that and watch it. But what I did was I explained how the hand sanitizer is really not going to probably be effective because there's no data to even prove that any product at this point is effective against this particular virus. Like I said, it's all new. They're scrambling, trying to put things together. They're trying to, find a vaccine. They're trying to find any type of treatments and things. They're testing out all types of stuff. So there's no data, even for the cleaning products that they recommend on their website. They say they presume that it works, but they're not really sure. They just know in past they used this on other things and it worked on them, but there's no data to show that it actually works on this stuff, on this actual virus. So I don't want people to have this blind faith in, I got this Perel, which was actually that company that makes Perel was actually given a warning by the FDA in January of this year, telling them to stop making claims on their labels that their product can, prevent or cure certain diseases. It said there you don't have any data to prove this, so stop saying that. And then the first thing everybody go out and do, and they go out and buy Purell, which had just got this warning letter from the FDA. So I mean, people need to know this stuff. Like I said, there's no research at this point that shows that Purell or any other hand sanitizer is effective against this. There's no scientists that have done any tests or anything. So just know that, and just know that, even antibacterial soap, it's not going to be effective against the virus. The best thing you can do is wash your hands and make sure you're getting as many pathogens off of your skin when you're washing your hands and taking showers and things like that. But
one second, Ryan, because I know you going in. I got a couple things, and guys, if you guys got questions, I wouldn't even look at Wall Street, because your health is your wealth. Everybody when it comes to my health is my wealth, and that's so many questions that come up. But I do want to do this, right? I'm so fascinated with not just what you're saying here, which we'll get into. Okay, what are some things you can do? Because we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. But look, I want you to help me understand this, right? So this is the World Health Organization, and this is basically kind of the spread. And I'm just saying to myself, Nadia, okay, ain't shit going on in Africa, ain't nothing really going on in Canada, very little bit going on in South America. Ain't shit really going on over in Russia, that whole eastern side of Europe.
Yeah.
What the hell? I'm just saying. Help me to.
I mean, I'm not. I've had a lot of questions about these. This map. I'm not sure if cases are not being reported. They're not being tested. Like I said, here in the United States, I'm pretty sure this virus was probably here a lot longer. If they're claiming that we could have hundreds of thousands of cases, that would mean, those first few cases that they had, they didn't have contact with people on other, like over in Washington. Those people didn't have contact with people over in New York. So something had to bring that over there, or something had to release it over there, or whatever. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that are not adding up. And if you're saying we have hundreds of thousands of cases, it takes at least 14 days for you to actually show symptoms, with an average about 5 days, but for the most part, 14 days, you could actually show symptoms. So, that was not a normal, you have cases in Washington, all of a sudden you have cases in New York. That's not a normal, it wasn't enough time between that. So that tells me that this probably was here a long time ago. Or, I don't really want to get into conspiracy theory stuff.
We're not going to go into conspiracy. We just shared, listen, for us to think and to share our insight and our thoughts about something that's going on is not conspiracy. It's just people thinking for themselves. I'm so tired of people thinking we're coming up with conspiracy theories. Just say, hey, wait a second. Basically, here's what conspiracy theory means. Something ain't adding up. And I'm smart enough to think about it. And I'm so tired of people who are not smart enough to just say, let me think for myself. Because here's the deal, Nadia. I shared this earlier, right? A year and a half ago, I found myself in a hospital, right? I was dealing with stuff, upper respiratory something. I was like, what the hell? I don't never get sick. I never get sick. I don't never get the flu. I don't never get pneumonia. I don't get nothing. But then it was to the point I would call a guy like, God, take this away, because I don't know what it is. I'm trying to be a man. I'm like, oh, okay, we got it. We're just going to go away, whatever. Then my mom was like, no, you over here crying like that. You need to go to the hospital. So I go to the clinic. Finally get to the clinic. And by the time I get to the clinic, I'm feeling a little bit better. But still, I'm like, let me just check it out. Let me make sure, right?
Yeah.
Man, they do their little X-ray. They do the little blood test or whatever, right? And they're like, no, we ain't found nothing. They put me a subscription, 800 milligram ibuprofen, and send me on my way. And I'm like, the same thing y'all get. When y'all don't know, y'all get 800 milligrams. That's what you're going to get. We don't know. And I'm saying to myself, like a year and a half later, now to this, I feel like I had the Rona.
It could have been. So, like I said, I used to be a disease investigator for here at the county that I work in. So a disease investigator is a person that investigates these disease outbreaks. And I used to work for the health department here. And that was the part of the problem, is that when people would go to the doctors would not do thorough testing. They would just diagnose based off of symptoms. And, a lot of times they'll say, and nobody presents symptoms like a textbook case. A person could actually be sick with multiple things, but if you're not testing for them, you're not going to know how to properly either treat them or, just make them comfortable. If it's a virus, there's not a lot of antiviral drugs out there. So a lot of times your body just has to fight that off, and they'll do things to comfort you, like, they'll give you medications and things if you have body aches and all that. Now, if it's a bacteria, you have to figure out what bacteria is present so you know which antibiotic to use. But if you're just dismissing it off as, oh, bronchitis, or, oh, you're just suffering from asthma, and that's a common thing that they want to diagnose everybody with a respiratory problem. Oh, you just have asthma. Well, if I have asthma, what is causing the asthma? They don't ever get that far. Like, they'll just say, oh, it's probably seasonal allergies, and that's going to be a problem now, because seasonal allergies are popping up now because, the trees are producing the pollen now. And so now we're going to have people with allergies. They could also have the flu, and they could have this coronavirus, but they're not going to present the normal symptoms. If, coronavirus, you're supposed to have, a dry hacking cough, sore throat, fever. You don't have the runny nose, but say I have an allergy and my nose is running and my eyes are swollen, and you didn't test me, and I had a coronavirus, then I run the risk of, infecting other people, because you're dismissing it as, oh, you just have allergies or you just have a cold. So testing is very important. And that's what I think. They say they didn't have a test prior to this time, and they're acting like, it just showed up here, and it could have been here a lot longer than what they're actually even claiming. It could even been here. Like I said, a lot of stuff started coming up late October, but it could have even been here prior to that. We could have been the actual vector that took it over to China. It didn't have to originate in China. It could have been that somebody here had it and took it over there. So, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot that goes into this.
And then, we got some stuff coming from China as well. Now, oh, sorry, let me point something. So here's another question for you again. And I appreciate you coming on, man. Short notice. And, you caring enough to just share some insight from a scientific standpoint and the things that you study, right? Everybody putting down some study, the things that she studied. See, I'm not just, you got to understand, see, I study money, right? So she has a question about the stock market. She'd probably come to me and be like, hey, Evan, what you think about boom, boom, bam, right? Because this is where I study. And I don't know what y'all study, but this is what she studies. So I said, man, this is the perfect person to talk about what she understands as it relates to not just the coronavirus, but agriculture and everything else as well. Now, Nadia, we see people going to the store, and people seem to be some of the most stupidest stuff at the store when they trying to. Maybe they trying to stock up to have food and stuff. But man, what can we talk? What can you suggest as far as boosting your immune system? Because here's the deal: we got some bad habits, that lead to certain things in our life, high blood pressure. You know what I'm saying? Diabetes and all this stuff, cancer and all this stuff. And it seems like in a time where you have this pandemic that's, maybe close or whatever, that you start stocking up on stuff that can actually help you build up your immune system. You won't be eating all the meat and beef and stuff like that. You go green, go fast, something like that. But what are some of the things that people can be bee pollen? I mean, just share some things that I don't know, that maybe just that will be wiser. Okay, that will be wiser.
Okay. So I actually did 2 weeks ago. I did a actual YouTube live. And I talked about immunity and how it's actually built. To build actual immunity, you have to be exposed to a pathogen, whether it's a bacteria or a virus or a fungi and things like that. So your body can actually, build up that adapted immunity. But there are things that can help your immune system fight off a pathogen or, prevent it from actually entering your cells, especially in this case with a virus. And I talked about in that YouTube live about buying, things that are high in anthocyanin. So if you go to the store and you see like purple or, dark colored fruits and vegetables, they are high in anthocyanin. So that would be things like blueberries. People always talk about elderberries. Also things like anything that's purple that has those anthocyanins in it are going to be a benefit. So I even shared some, research studies where scientists over in China as well as Australia, they actually had looked up and tested some of these different, berries things. Actually coat the cells in your body, and it would prevent viruses from attaching. And if viruses were able to invade those cells, they would prevent them from actually rupturing that cell and releasing more viruses. So there's data that shows in labs that these things are able to prevent the spread of viruses. So it might be a benefit to you to, eat some of these things. So recently I've been drinking a lot of smoothies with blueberries and stuff in it. I know people always push the elderberries, but there's a lot of other fruits and vegetables with higher levels of anthocyanins. The elderberries also, you have to be careful with them. You can't just eat raw elderberries. They have to be cooked. If you don't cook them, what happens is the seeds, the leaves, the stems, and all of that. And if the fruit isn't ripe, it contains a what is I forget the chemical, but it's a poison. So it can actually poison you if you don't cook them. What it does, it denatures that poison when you cook it so that it won't, poison you. But if you consume a lot of these berries, you can make yourself very sick, even kill yourself. So you have to be careful with them. But there's other things that have a lot more anthocyanins in it, like even the blueberries are actually higher than the elderberries. You also need to know that actually cooking the elderberries is going to drop those levels. But it seems like it only needs to be a little bit, because people that have consumed, elderberries and things, they have a less severe, if say they got the flu or something, their symptoms are less severe and they actually recover a lot faster versus someone that usually doesn't, consume these types of things. But also you have to know about recovery. Recovery depends on a lot of things as well. It depends on your health. It also depends on your age, your overall activity, also your immune system. If you're immunocompromised, you're going to have a lot of difficulty fighting off an infection versus if you're not, and things like that. So there's a lot that goes into immunity. It's not just simply you take a pill or you take, you eat these anthocyanins or whatever. It's a lot of different things that go into that. And I explained that in that actual video that you can actually watch on my page as well.
All right. We got they got a lot of questions, man. They say, we gonna learn today. Everybody putting cows on pineapples. That's right, putting the cows on pineapples, because we're gonna learn today. Hey, so Corey Clark asked, and I got you over Instagram too. I'm gonna get you guys questions in. Please ask, are masks effective, and can we simply wear cloth face guards to keep us from directly touching our nose and face?
So they were saying that certain masks, like the regular little surgical mask that you get, they say they're not effective because they do not cover the entire face, and they allow spaces in between there. They recommend an N95 mask, which there was a shortage of those because people were hoarding those as well. But they were also saying that the virus, it can actually penetrate through the eyes. So it has been established that it can be airborne. Back in December, China said that, it has a short airborne life. You can, what happens is you can, if a person sneezes or something and those droplets, they could have the virus in there, it can actually survive. And if it got into your eye, you could actually be infected that way as well. So, eye protection is very important, especially when if you're working in a hospital setting, and you're going to be amongst people that are sneezing and coughing and things like that. That ups your, possibility of being infected because you have those aerosolized droplets that could have that virus in there. But yeah, the N95 mask is the recommended one. But they were saying that even that some of the virus particles, they could probably still get through there as well. So at this point, N95 is the best mask that you can get next to a actual respirator. But they were saying that there's some question about even if that's effective as well.
All right, I got a couple questions over Instagram. I'm trying to get everybody questions, guys. I gotta get. Hey, we want to take a look at the market. It's okay. All right. So we got, hey, what is causing the virus to be so prevalent? What is causing the virus to be so prevalent? That's from over Instagram.
What's causing it to be so prevalent? I guess the people that are sick, they're not isolating themselves away, and so they're infecting any other people. It's no different than any other cold, flu, bacterial infection. If you're sick and you're coughing, sneezing, touching things, blowing your nose and you touch stuff and you didn't wash your hands, you infect things. And so if people come behind you and they touch those things, then they can pick up your infection as well. So it's just like any other thing. I mean, we have flu running rampant around here. There's thousands of cases of flu, hundreds of thousands of cases of flu that are hospitalized. There's millions of people that've had the flu since October. I think it's probably up to 20 million people that have had the flu. And then there's probably about 20,000 that have actually died from the flu this year. So just know that there's other things out here.
20 this year, 2020, or are you talking about since October?
Since October.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes. So yeah, the flu season starts October and it runs to May. So we're going to probably see a decline in flu cases coming up in April. They say the reason being is because it doesn't like warm environments and things like that. So they're trying to look at even this coronavirus to see if once things start to warm up and you hit spring, summer, they want to know if that's going to actually cause the decline of the virus as well.
And they say, what is China doing to stop the spread of the coronavirus?
I know they're doing quarantining. They did quarantine, isolation. They were testing out different antiviral drugs on people. So drugs that were used for things like HIV, which are viruses, antivirals. They were using those drugs to see if they were effective. Now, I don't know if they were effective. And there's been some talks that China's not going to share their information with the United States because they feel the United States brought that over there. Yeah. So I don't really know. They have epidemiologists that went from the CDC over to China to talk with those scientists and doctors that are actually treating people. So they may be able to get some information from them, but they may not. I'm not sure. But yeah, we have that whole dynamic going on now that, they don't want to share information with us.
Yeah, that's what you tell. Yeah, got you, D. I guess D's doing some. You're into research as well. We got another queen of research here to show like any other flu and infection takes anywhere from 2 to 14 days. Thanks so much for that. Who do y'all know with the? I don't know nobody with it. I just know who they show, but I don't know anybody with it. Now here's interesting. Here's an interesting thing because you just said something. You said, "Hey, China may have come across." They may have, obviously they're declining over there in China, but they may have come across, some information that they may not share with the United States. And this kind of brings us into understanding how all of this stuff comes back to money, right? So think about it for a second. China and the United States had a free trade agreement that expired, and that expired during our current administration. And so there needs to be a renegotiation of that agreement to make sure that we can still have free trade. Well, and we haven't come to an agreement just yet. So there were tariffs or taxes that were going back and forth, and they're trying to see who's going to be the big dog or who's going to come out ahead or whatever, who's going to really be the big winner of this whole trade that takes place between China and the United States. And so, our administration saying, hey, we want to make America great again. And so in order for you to do business over here with us and with our consumers, you're going to have to pay a hefty tax, a tariff and a sanction and all this stuff. And then China do the same thing back to them, back and forth, back and forth. And so that leads to when you can't come to an agreement among two people, it starts to lead to a little bit of distrust, especially when you have had an agreement for such a long period of time. So lo and behold, look at this. Over on Wall Street, China will expel New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and Washington Post reporters. China's basically saying, all y'all media, get the hell up out of our country.
Yeah.
You can't make this stuff up, guys. So you follow the money. Obviously, we want you to be healthy and all this stuff. We got a scientist on sharing some things with you. Let me ask you this, Nadia. Because I'm hearing you as a scientist, right? But then we also have physicians. I mean, what is the real difference between what you do and just a regular general doctor? Because it sounds like y'all should have similar basic backgrounds other than the field in which you study. So talk to us a little bit about that difference as a scientist that's studying the stuff that you study versus maybe I don't know if is a doctor really studying or they're just, I don't know. Help me out. Help me understand.
Well, in theory, a doctor should be studying, but a lot of times doctors a lot of doctors, what I found when I was other people say. So if a drug rep comes in there, they're basing their decision on offering this drug based off the scientists that actually developed that drug.
Ah,
So they're trusting in them to say that this product is going to do what it does. But in theory, a doctor should be actually studying all the time, because all this stuff can be evolving, and you have to stay up. That's why they have that CE where they're supposed to go back and you know take classes and things like that. But a scientist that this is all they do, they develop these drugs and things like that. They're just basing a lot of their knowledge off what those scientists and those researchers are actually coming up with. um,
oh, look at this.
so
So we knew that you said that China has closed or are closing their last coronavirus hospital. Wow.
yeah, they did that. I think on Monday they were about to start to dismantle it. So that you saw that chart where they said they only have so many 8,000 or so cases and things like that. So yeah, like they're probably on the end of this. Also, you have to look at the weather and the climate there. It's starting to get a little warmer there and things. So I mean, there's a lot that goes into a disease and cases and all that stuff. It's not just this linear. It's a lot of stuff that goes into this stuff.
And, I,
Um,
and I'm glad you said that, right? Because you used the term linear, right? And
yeah,
many of us have linear thinking because we learned 2 + 2 = 4.
yeah,
And so we go linear thought, but we're dealing with something that's non-linear, and it may be
right,
actually hard for us to conceptualize all of these different pieces or different aspects to this one topic. Um,
right,
so, you just said that, hey, we just looked at the chart and we saw that China's on the decline. And they're kind
yeah,
of getting to the end of their exposure or their episode.
yes.
What would you say United States is? If we say that China's getting to the end of their episode, where would you say we are? I mean, because we got good weather coming in, we got we're in flu season, we're moving into April, and but where would you? I mean, just from your guesstimation, from what you have read and what you've seen, where would you say we are in our episodic edition of the coronavirus? Plagues the world.
Well, like I said, I think it was here a lot longer because I keep seeing all these stories of people saying that they were having these horrible upper respiratory infections. They would go to the doctor, they wouldn't run any tests. And at that time, in October, November, there were no coronavirus tests here in the United States. But they said they would have difficulty breathing and they would just be dismissed and sent home and said they had bronchitis or they might have, asthma. Um, so we could be on the end as well. You saw the chart of how many cases that we had, but if you're not testing in the beginning, you're not going to see that climb. So yes, we're going to have a lot more cases now because we're actually testing, but it could have been that there were hundreds of thousands of people that actually had this already. People they have this, they came up with this social distancing thing, and people, I don't think they understand how diseases work because it was even weird when New Jersey, some city in I think it was New Jersey City, they came up with this curfew and they were like, oh, if you you have to be home by 10 o'clock or you have to leave the bars by 10 o'clock. Diseases don't work on a schedule, just like they don't work on a social uh interaction. They don't care if you're socializing or if you're working or if you're partying. Um, that disease is just going to, if there's cases there and you're a host and it's able to be transmitted, it's going to manifest in that new person. It doesn't work on the human experience as we think, like, oh, it should only affect me between 10 and 6 a.m., 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. and stuff like that. But I find that people, they're not understanding how this transmission actually works. Diseases don't care about if you're rich or poor, if you're black, you're white. I mean, that's even that whole thing of, black people weren't getting it. Now all of a sudden, every person that gets it on the news, they keep showing only black people, and they were supposed to keep these people anonymous. So I'm not even understanding that. I don't know what that's all about either. Um, But just know that a disease is going to infect a person no matter what. Now, there are some people that might have resistance or immunity, so they won't get sick. Um, but you need to know that, you know, diseases don't work on human schedules. They don't. It's not going to say, "Oh, I'm going to wait and infect you next Tuesday because I know you have this party this week" or something like that. But I think people think that's how it works.
Well, and I'm not gonna think to myself that we're just that ignorant. But when you start, I think when we start to bring down policies to say be in the house by 8, we're essentially pushing that idea out there. Because here's the deal, right? Okay, you close the stadiums, but Walmart's still open.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
FedEx and UPS are still open. You still got. I mean, matter of fact, you watch TV. ESPN still got their whole studio open, and they mingling.
exactly.
So I'm really like baffled. Like, you telling me to do this, but you're not doing it yourself. Like, how are you
Exactly.
absolved, or a higher power than the people that you are instructing to do it particularly. Let me listen. They went on the news, right? The president went on the news and said, "Hey, you know what I'm saying? Now we're gotten to the point we don't want no more than 10 people gathering." But they standing up there with 20 people.
Right.
That
Right.
How is this? How this ain't making, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, guys, doesn't that make you think? That's all I'm saying. Does it make you think?
Right.
I don't know if they got some superpowers or not, but it just makes me think like, okay, you could at least put on the show and show up as one person, and then you'll do this press conference to say don't gather more than 10, so you can get an example. But go ahead.
That's the problem. That's the problem, that they think people are not paying attention to that. Like they if this is a farce and this is something else is going on, they think that the American people, that they scared them so much that they're not even paying attention to that. Like, if you're telling me 10 people and then a certain age group should isolate themselves, and then our president as well as all the other Democratic candidates, they're all in that high risk age group. So why are they not isolating themselves? Why are they walking around? Why are they going to these rallies? Why are they, going to these press conferences and stuff? There's been 2 times that our president has been right on stage with somebody that was diagnosed with the virus. So it's like, even if you had 10 or 20 or 50 or whatever number they come up with, all it takes is one person to be infected, and they cough, sneeze, they might have saliva coming out of their mouth when they're talking. They can infect somebody. So they're not holding up their end. They're telling us to do one thing, but they're doing the opposite of that, and that's kind of weird.
I mean, to me, I'm just saying again, it's hard for me to listen to someone that's doing. You know what I'm saying? It's like hypocrisy. Like, it's hard for me to listen to someone that's doing something different than what they're telling me to do. I mean, I'm pretty sure many of us who grew up in households like that, they say, "Hey, do as I say, not as I do." It's like, but now that we grown, we're like, that don't work. But anyway, everybody put a console, it only takes one. Everybody put a console, it only takes one. Now, obviously, I get to your question here, brother. You asked about the CDC, and we're talking to a scientist, but nonetheless, these the guidelines that have come out from the CDC, and we talked about China doing their quarantine and things like that. What are some things just to, again, not to promote fear, but to really just bring awareness and information so that people can be on better behavior, because we know we got bad habits. Okay, we know we got bad habits. You say wash your hands, but then you pumping at the gas. You ain't washing hands. You eating a hot dog. You ain't washing hands. You touching doors. You ain't washing hands. So it's like, oh, wait, only wash your hands after you use the bathroom. That to me, it's like, okay, right? So people just and not what they should do, but how should we proceed? I mean, really.
So hand washing is very important. So just be mindful of when you're going to a new environment, especially outside of your home. Just be mindful of, you need to wash your hands. Don't be touching your face and putting your hands in your mouth. If you're about to eat something, make sure you wash your hands before you eat it. If there are people that are sick, if you're in a job and they're sick, kind of distance yourself from them. They should be sending them home. But if not, try to keep your distance from um just washing your hands is going to be the main thing. Also taking showers. Um I found that a lot of people don't bathe, and that your skin is your first line of defense when it comes to your immunity. Your skin all day is fighting all type of microorganisms, not just coronavirus. I mean, there's all types of things that your skin comes into contact with. So frequent showering. I wish it could be daily, but some people they don't have that option. Will wash away a lot of those microorganisms that can cause disease. Also, eating healthy, making sure you're not smoking, drinking. All these things can affect your immunity. If you're immunocompromised, or if you fall in one of those risk groups, you need to definitely stay isolated. Um, because at this point, they really don't know the number of people that have this versus don't have it. They don't have enough tests, and it's a whole bunch of stuff going on right now. So if you fall in one of those risk groups, immunocompromised people, people over the age, I think it's 65 or 70. If you have some underlying health condition like asthma, some upper respiratory issues, you have heart disease, even diabetes. Um, uh, they were saying that you're a high risk group, so just be mindful of that. Your weight plays into this as well as your stress level. Your stress can affect your immunity. So worrying about this is putting stress on you, which is actually affecting your immune system, which that's what you need at this point. Because if you get the virus, you're going to have to fight it off. And that's the only way you're going to build actual immunity is to actually be introduced to that pathogen and fight it off. So there is a lot of, exercise. Just, if you're dealing with depression and things, you might want to try to, work on that, because that's, again, a stress on the body, and that can actually affect your immune system. But the most important thing is washing yourself and keeping your distance from sick people. They may not have coronavirus, but they can still have the flu, and the flu is still deadly, and it still causes people to be hospitalized and stuff. Whooping cough is just as bad, and we have lots of cases of whooping cough out here, and that's caused by actual bacteria. And even though we have a vaccine for it, it's not even effective against it anymore, and that's why we've had all these cases increasing over the last 10 years. But that's another upper respiratory thing that presents itself like shortness of breath, and it could look very similar to the COVID-19. But if you're not testing for it, then you won't know if a person has whooping cough or they have COVID-19 or they could have had a flu. And we also have, like I say, allergy season coming up. So if you have allergies, you might want to take your allergy medicine to make sure that you are protected against allergies and things like that. So there's a lot. Like I said, there's a lot. It's never linear. There's a lot that can go into this. But you got to make sure if you're going to the doctor that they're actually testing for these infections and not just dismissing you off as, a bronchitis case or asthma case. But I know they do that a lot. They do.
Absolutely, man. Everybody putting comments on non-linear. Right? We gotta get there, right? Non-linear. This is for everything, right? Not just thinking one particular way, thinking it's going this way and all this stuff. You take your mind to a space where you can look at things from a lot of different angles, and that's the process of evolution. Okay, that's just kind of what happens. Things evolve over time. They get a little bit more complex, but even as they get more complex, they're still simple in nature because they've derived from something that was simple. This is, at any rate, all right. So again, so Nadia, again, if you could, because there's some people that are just joining. They don't really know, again, your background and the stuff that you study, how long you've been studying and doing some of the stuff. So do a quick another intro as an outro for those that joined us and really don't know who's talking right now.
Okay. Again, my name is Nadia Ruffin. I'm located in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm an entomologist, which is a person that studies insects. I'm a researcher. I'm a scientist. And I'm also an urban farmer. I actually graduated from Ohio State with a bachelor's in agriculture. My focus was animal sciences, pre-veterinary medicine, and entomology. I didn't go to vet school, but I got a master's in entomology. My focus was, studying insects that actually can transmit disease. And then, now I do urban farming. I teach people about the agriculture industry, beyond just the farming aspect, because people are under the impression that, when you say agriculture, you're just farming, but that it goes way beyond that. You can be scientists, doctors, lawyers, all types of things in agriculture. I have a online school where I teach different subjects in agriculture. It's on the screen now. If you want to go there, you can visit there. I also do on Sundays where I do, YouTube lives where I discuss things that may have happened that week, or what I feel is some pertinent information that you need to know about either science or agriculture and things like that. So I'm just your all around nerd. I'm knowledgeable in a lot of different fields. You have to be, because even though I'm an entomologist, I have to know about plants. I have to also know about how those plants, interact with the insects as well as humans. When I was in animal sciences, I worked in a lot of research labs. I did a lot of research, especially on diseases. So I was at the Ohio Department of Agriculture. I've also worked at the Ohio State University, University of Georgia, and the University of Cincinnati. And each one of those positions, I was in research or some type of disease studying. So I've been doing this a while. So, at least 15 years I've been studying diseases. I was more focused on diseases that are transmitted by insects, but I found, people don't know a lot about any of this stuff. The insects, the disease themselves, how they're transmitted, even about plants, how to cultivate them. There's always all these things that are being circulated on the internet, and I try to explain how that's not right, or this is what really happens and things like that. And I just found that people, they don't really understand science because it has been pushed to the background of a lot of things now. It used to be you would learn science in school, and it was pushed that we should be scientists, we should be doctors and things like that. Those type of fields are not even pushed anymore, and so we have at least 2 or 3 generations now that have no clue about how things even operate. I mean, basic things eggs come from chickens and things. People don't even know this stuff. They just think this stuff shows up at the grocery store. And so I try to educate people about, there was an animal involved in that process. There were people, there were actual jobs. There's actual careers, businesses, and things that you can actually do in this agricultural field that are beyond just farming. So that's what I try to do, is educate about that as well.
Absolutely, man. And we definitely want to have another session with the Queen of Soil, because you start talking about jobs in the agricultural field. We start talking about opportunities, the shift or the evolution of agriculture. Because as you said, as we know, we start to move towards, the deletion of the black farmer and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Or that becoming extinct, but we want to kind of keep it going. But it's a matter of us bringing awareness and understanding.
Right.
And so, guys, here's the deal, man. I felt like it's way more important for us to kind of talk about this. Is this being your health, being a part of wealth? We didn't get to the market as much. That's okay. I'll kind of pick it up tomorrow. But I understand. Put first things first, and you are first, right, before your money, right? You are first before your money. So I'll come back and do some. I think I got a class tonight, guys. That'll talk about. We'll go into the market tonight, 8 p.m. tonight. For those that want to show up, I'll be talking to you guys about what to do with that $1,000 stimulus package, right? What to do, smart things to do with your money. We'll talk about that tonight. So you can join us tonight here at 8 p.m. Again, follow her. What's your YouTube channel, by the way, Ms. Nadia?
It's a Urban Farm Sister, and that's Urban Farm SISTA, sister, not sister, sister.
All right, so Urban Farm Sister is going to be the YouTube channel, and then we'll begin to close out our show now, man. You got any last words for the peeps? Tell us what you got going on. I know you got said 7 o'clock Sunday night. When can we bring you back on? Talk to us a little bit about with some inspiration.
Actually, this evening I have a YouTube live coming up. I have a guy that's going to come on there, and he's going to talk about how to prepare for, disaster preparedness. So he's going to come on there and talk about, what we could have done prior to, this incident happening, how you prep. And so he's going to come on there and show you how to prep. He's going to show you some products and things that he sells. He's going to explain, going out buying 50 rolls of toilet paper probably was not the wisest thing to do. He's going to show you how, and things like that, because this is not going to be the first or the last, disaster that we're going to have. Living in this country, we have disasters all the time. There's always something that, we could have prepared for or been better prepared for. And so he's going to teach you how to do that. Then tomorrow I have a individual coming on, and she's going to show you about homeschooling. She's a homeschooling parent, and she's going to show you, since a lot of the kids are out of school now for at least, the next 3, maybe 8, maybe now to the end of the school year, they're going to be home. So you're going to have to be their educator. And so she's going to show you how to transition your home into a classroom and teach those students, teach children in your home. And then on Saturday, I have a class coming up where I'm teaching people how to actually grow their own watermelons. So you can have your seeded watermelons and things like that. So I have a lot of stuff coming up. If you go to my YouTube, you'll have where you can click on those things that are coming up, and you can set the reminder. You can also visit my website. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, under Urban Farm Sister as well. So you can follow those accounts also, and I'll have, updates of, if I have things coming up and things like that. And I also have on April 4th, I have one of 4 hemp classes where I'm teaching people how to get into the hemp industry, and that, the process, because every state is different. The process is for that for certain states, as well as, some value added products that you can make from hemp other than just CBD or, smoking the flowers. That's a huge industry that I think Black people should dominate if we get into it. It's not as, hard to get into hemp as it is to get into actual marijuana, which is weird because they're actually, they're the same plant, but we won't go there. But, we need to dominate something. You need to dominate like we dominated, like we were, the cotton farmers, and they built an industry off cotton. We need to take hemp and build our industry off of hemp, because there's so many applications that plant can be used in, that we don't even know about. So, I'm trying to educate people about that industry as well.
So I'll tell you what, Nadia, that's definitely an area that I'm interested in trying to spread awareness. So let's see what we can do about partnering from the marketing side to make sure that enough people know about. I don't know what your following is like or anything like that, but you're putting it out there. So let's do what we can to make sure we get enough people tuning in. I'm pretty good at that. Oh, by the way, I'm pretty. Anyway, man, hey, those that are watching us, again, Nadia, I want to say thanks so much. Everybody thank Nadia for being here. Taking the time to be here on the Money and Power Show, getting up early. I think I might be an hour before, or she might be an hour before us. You're going to have to work on your background, by the way, Miss Nadia. I need to see some Urban Farm Sister up there. I can't believe you called the Urban Farm Sister and not the Queen of Soul. That's okay. I'm not going to take it to the spot. Everybody thank Miss Nadia for coming here. In the comments below, I'd like for you to share something that you learned today. Here's the deal, guys. This is free financial education for the nation. And we talked about your health is your wealth today. And we didn't do this just to do this. We did this to make a difference. And hopefully you can show the difference that we made by what you learn, because what you learn is what you use, right? Knowledge, don't be just filled with information. Just don't get the knowledge. You're going to turn that knowledge and use it. That means you turn it into wisdom, and then you can actually benefit from it. So in the comments below, love for you to share your takeaway from today. What'd you learn? Was it worth your time, and why is the big question I'm asking here today, as we are investing our time into you. And hopefully you've hit that like button, you hit that share button, you hit that subscribe button, you did all that stuff so that you can make sure you know that we are still here in the future. We're going to keep on coming as long as God will allow us to do it. I mean, look at this, guys. They might got us quarantined. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quarantined, but you might be quarantined. But we can still use the power of the internet. We can use the power of technology to still connect. It's a beautiful thing. You're connecting with us on your phone. You're connecting with us on your laptop. You're connecting with us in your city, and we're still able to use these resources for good. And think about this: not only for good, we're using it for education, right?
Yep.
Malcolm X said that education is the passport. So hopefully you learn something today that you will take away and you will apply in your life. Mr. Thomas, man, said thanks so much. Thank you, Queen of Soul in the house. Mr. Mila Cart, thank you, Nadia.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Nadia, in the house, man. That's right. Thank you, hemp. Thank you, hemp. That's what you better start thinking about it. That's what I'm talking about. Jennifer said, "Thank you, Nadia." Absolutely, Corey said, "I learned COVID has a short airborne lifespan." Absolutely. Anybody else? What'd you learn? What'd you learn? What'd you learn? Thank you, Miss Nadia. Absolutely. Your guys are armed. You're informed. You got maybe a whole nother little chink in your armor. And thou shalt not fear, right?
Yes.
Thou shalt not fear. We gave you numbers, gave you stats, gave you insight. You got a scientist, a professional in this particular area that's been studying this stuff, you know what I'm saying, for over 15 years. Man, how valuable is that? We have a great need for our own farming, absolutely. Jamila said, absolutely, absolutely. Hey, beautiful people. Again, thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for caring enough to share. Thanks so much for caring enough to even stay on as long. You know what I'm saying? People trying to bring some information and education to you. This is the Money and Power Show, brought to you by the New Black Wall Street. And I'm your host, ERGJ, your certified financial educator. And I want you guys to remember this, that it takes a village. It starts with us. Let's build as we climb together. We all we got, beautiful people. And hopefully today, you have seen with your own eyes that we all we need. And thank God that's more than enough. Until next episode, guys, you know what time it is. Mr. DJ, hit the music.
The New Black Wall Street. Thanks you for joining the show. We gave a lot of great tips, but it's time to go. Take the knowledge we shared, hope you use it and grow. We'll see you all there with the next episode of The New Black Wall Street. The New Black Wall Street.